Resolved. Responsibility of addressing oil spills and environmental disasters in the oil and gas sector should rest solely on the companies involved. I would like to begin by asking Team Negative how they propose to ensure that all companies take full responsibility for the environmental and social impact of their operations if the burden is not placed primarily on them. So we come as NEMA in liaison with the Petroleum Authority of Uganda and the Office of the Prime Minister. NEMA is going to be a supervisory body to ensure that these companies are held responsible to address oil spills and environmental disasters in the oil and gas sector. The reason as why we want to hold them responsible is to reduce the government burden to enable it to cater for other equally important sectors such as the education sector and the health sector. It is to send a strong message that negligence and lack of preventive action will not be tolerated, and this will help. It is going to act as a preventive measure, because when would you act responsible when you know that you're going to have to face the consequences? So this is going to help reduce the effects of oil spills and environmental disasters.
Right.
Second.
So what's the definition of the word solely in your case?
That will be answered by the third speaker as it is in line with his case. So it is to instill a sense of patriotism and responsibility among citizens. So this is because why would someone else be punished for something that they have not done when the person, the culprit, is actually there? This means that the people are not responsible, and then they will go on continuing to do that same thing over and over again when they know that they are not going to be held accountable. So we want to instill a sense of patriotism and responsibility among the citizens. So we are going to hold the companies accountable. We are going to hold the companies accountable for addressing oil spill and environmental disasters through pressing criminal charges against responsible companies, like offenses of violating environmental laws, unknowingly releasing hazardous substances in the environment through air and water pollution. We are going to compile civil lawsuits seeking monetary damages to cover the costs of cleanup, restoration, and compensation to the affected parties.
POI.
We are going to revoke permits temporarily by companies responsible. This will cause necessary improvements in the companies. This will force them to be more responsible. This will force them to go back and check on how their equipment, or to ensure maintenance of their equipment. This will help reduce the effects of oil spills and environmental disasters. And how we are going to prevent reoccurrence. How we are going to prevent reoccurrence of oil spills and environmental disasters is through enforcement. We are going to enforce strict regulations as NEMA. We are going to enforce strict regulations and oversee compliance of these companies so that we avoid the oil spills and environmental disasters. We are going to conduct regular inspections and monitor operations of these companies. We are going to inspect the vessels, facilities, and oil transfer operations, evaluate spill prevention plans, as well as design standards and rules for storage, transfer, and containment facilities, and provide technical outreach so that the companies can actually become more responsible. And I would also like to ask the negative bench why we should burden the government if it has to look out for all the other sectors, including the education sector, the health sector. Why should we top up something that is actually not caused by them? And so this takes us back to attaining our team theme, which is preventing reoccurrence of oil spills and environmental disasters by the companies involved. With that, I rest my case.
No. Team government comes and tells us that why should we put the burden on the government? They forget that this crude oil is in our land. We as the government, as our parliament, has stand to be Uganda. So which means we literally have the capacity to work up to it. Now we come and ask them now, what is the definition of the word solely? They have failed to define the word solely. But now we come and tell you that solely we are putting entirely everything on the companies. We are putting the blame, we are putting the accountability of the oil spills and the environmental disaster. You are putting on the control measures on the control measures of the oil spills and environmental disaster on the companies. Now, they again come and say that, you know what, we are going to talk with NEMA and the House of the House of the Prime Minister, the Office of the Prime Minister. The Office of the Prime Minister is under the government of Uganda, as to what we are saying. So, which means they concede to the fact that our houses, they concede to the fact that they cannot work alone, but they can work with someone in place. Now we come and tell them that, you know what, this thing, when it's put in place, one of the reasons that cause oil spills and environmental disaster, first of all, is poor management. Second of it all, we look at the natural disasters, we need to look at the natural calamities, but the only thing they can afford to fight is the poor management. What about the natural calamities? What about the earthquake? What about the tsunamis? What will they do? So which means they are leaving them out. That's what we come and ask them of the examples. We come and ask them of the examples of the companies they are dealing with. Totally, they don't have companies. So which means we are debating with people who don't know what we are talking about. Literally, they never stand a chance to even come on stage. Now, we come and tell you that, you know what, we come and tell you that, you know what, when this thing is put in place, it's going to bring a new phase of colonialism. How did colonialism begin in the first place? We saw companies like the German East African Company coming in. We saw the Imperial British East African Company coming in. That's how it began. So if at all we still have these companies like Total Energy is entirely governed by the France government accepted.
Give us the examples of the natural calamities that you're talking about, and they should be in line with the
What did I say? I said earthquakes, tsunamis. They didn't listen to that.
I didn't line with the oil and gas sector.
We come and tell you that now, if at all this thing is put in place, now, if at all you put the burden, if at all we say that the private companies, all those companies involved should have the responsibility, the entire responsibility. So which means they expect a lot. Profit-wise, right? Which means when profits come, they have to earn a lot. What are you leaving the natives with? I mean the government. What are you leaving them with? Totally, you're trying to take all the resources the government has from them to other people, and we see those people are people from abroad. So entirely you're saying for us, we have to stay with nothing. They are our resources, they are in our land. What are you doing? That's what they are saying. Now, they come and say that, now, we come and tell you that, you know what, we are here fighting dependency. We are here fighting dependence of African country. So if at all we still have this thing, it won't fight dependence. We shall still be dependent with people. Now, we again come and tell you that 20% of the chimpanzees are expected to be lost, and 10% have to die in this saga. So if at all the companies that come only for them, they are capitalist companies. They only come for what? For money. So which means whatsoever effect they do to the country, they don't want to know, because for them they only want to do what brought them in place. So which means they have no way they can come and solve our problems, like the death of our wildlife, which we see 7% of the tourism sector contribute to our national GDP. So totally they are forgetting about the tourism sector. Our national GDP will be down. We come and tell you that hectares and hectares, say 70,000 hectares of land will be lost in this saga. So which means they want our land to be lost. Remember, these people are capitalists. They have only come to earn money. So whatsoever you give them, they don't want to know. For them, they want to earn money and go, hence exploiting our nation. And when our nation is exploited, we shall see our nation suffering from a lot of things. We come and tell you that, you know what, by at least sharing the burden, by working hand in hand with the people, working hand in hand with the companies. We are not saying the companies should go off, but you should work hand in hand with the government that is in place. I rest my case.
This is the High School Crossfire. We'll be back in a minute.